Hey guys, welcome to the channel here in 2025. Happy New Year. In this episode, I'm going to talk about Maine in 2024, the year in review. And what I did was, it took some time to gather all these numbers, which is why I haven't made a video in a while. I went through every county. Now, there's only 16 of them, but I went through every county in Maine and looked at what the average sale price was for every county in Maine per month for the entire year of 2024 and for the entire year of 2023. And then I averaged those numbers out to give you guys an understanding of how every county performed in 2024 in terms of what the average sale price is in a county in Maine in 2024 compared to what that was in 2023. And did it increase or decrease, with these kind of high interest rates and a lot of confusion in the market and what's going on. Houses, is the market falling? Is the market rising? Is there more inventory? Is there less inventory? I get this question asked a lot. How's the market? So I can only speak to Maine. I'm pretty well versed in Maine. I've lived here my whole life. So if you're interested in looking to buy or sell in Maine, if you're thinking about maybe making a move or moving to some place that you haven't been before, you might want to look at Maine. It's not a secret anymore. I'm getting a lot of content on my channel now. And I got to tell you, some of it's not all great, right? Some of it people are saying, don't let any more people in. We don't want to change the way our life is here. We love it here. We don't want to change it. So that's coming from a fear factor. But the reality is, Maine's not a secret anymore, guys. And there's a lot of people that I know of, and even talking to my peers, there's a lot of people that are looking to move here. So I drafted all the numbers. It took me a couple of days. I pulled it right from the multiple listing services. So these are... what I'm about ready to give you is the average sale price in 2024 per county per the multiple listing service. Now, I want to be clear, this is only from what the real estate realtors sold. I can't talk to you about if it wasn't sold as a realtor because this comes off the multiple listing service, but I broke it all down. I broke it by county. And if you're interested in understanding those facts, you're thinking about making a move, you're a buyer or seller and you want to make that move, then you should watch this. You should watch this episode. There's a lot of opinions out there in this industry. And even I have them, right? I have some video out there, and it's my beliefs, right? That doesn't mean it's fact, but it's my beliefs unless I'm doing a market update or whatever. And you can argue with me. People can argue with me. It doesn't make sense. It does. I just had a comment saying, I did an episode, I don't know, a year or so ago, and I talked about, can you survive the Maine winter? And I talked about how much snow. And somebody sent me a comment, Maine has less snow than all of the other 5 New England states. And he's simply not correct, because then I followed that up with a link to a document from USA.com that said Maine was number 2 in the nation in terms of how much snow we get, behind Vermont. So there's a lot of misinformation out there. I try to weed through it all. Again, guys, I've been doing this for a while. I'm not an expert. I just can tell you what I wish I knew 10 years ago, and now what I wish I know now. And I've gone through those trials and tribulations. So I can tell you, if you're looking to buy or sell, why it may be in your best interest, A, to look at Maine. And of course, I'd love to work with you if we had that opportunity. I believe that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's the whole purpose of this channel, guys. So we're going to get after the 2024 review market and review. And sit back. It's going to be a long video. I'm going to put it up on. The channel. I'm going to have categories, paragraphs, in case you want to scan through. And then finally, this is per county. If you want to know about a specific region or a specific city or town, just drop me a line, send me a text. Like this channel, drop a comment, and I'll definitely send it out to you guys. All right, let's get after that right now. All right, guys, like I said, welcome back to the channel. If you don't know me, if you've never seen any of my other videos, my name is Scott Thibeau. I've lived in Maine. I'm 57 years old. I've lived here almost my entire life. I was born and raised here. I call myself a son of Maine. And to be honest with you, when I was 18, I wanted nothing to do with the state of Maine. I thought it was pokey dunk. I wanted to go out and see the world. I wanted to get out of this small Maine life, this small town vibe, and I wanted to go to see the world because I thought there were bigger and better opportunities out there for me. Now, again, at 18, you don't know a lot. You just think you know everything, right? And you got to go out and experience that and find that out. And I did. I went off and I joined the military. And I would join the Navy to see the world. And I did some crazy things while I was in the Navy. And I saw the world. And I got to tell you guys, some of it was beautiful and some of it was brutal. I mean, brutal. When you look at other parts of this world and some of the places that I had been, and maybe if you're a veteran, you have been, and you realize living in the United States of America, we're not perfect at all. But man, compared to some of these other countries, we're lucky to live here. And yes, we got problems just like everybody else does, but our problems pale in comparison when you're talking about, when I was in Africa and people carrying their water on their head for 2 miles or riding camels or wondering where the next meal is going to be or worrying about, they're going to get attacked by a tiger or a lion or whatever is out there, right? Or when I was in the Middle East and just the heat and challenges out there is just, and here I am living in Maine and I realized, wow, Maine and New England and the United States in general is actually a great place to live. And it made me humble to realize, hey, I'm going to come back to Maine. I'm going to try to build a life here. I'm going to have a family. And now I'm 57 years old. Again, I was gone for about 10 years from 86 to 94. A little later in 86, I graduated high school in 86, went off to military boot camp and all that 2 months after. But, 86 to 94 came back. About 10 years, 95-ish, I'll say. I've lived here my whole life since then. First and foremost, I'm a husband. I'm a father of 5 children, and I'm a grandfather of 3 children. I'm a patriot. I deeply believe in this country. I deeply believe in the military. I deeply believe in the Constitution and independence of America. And then, I'm a son of Maine. I think this is a great place to raise a family. It's a great lifestyle. It's not all the hustle and bustle, but it may not be for you. But I'm going to try to give you the real reason of why you might want to consider living in Maine if you don't already. Or why you want to sell in Maine and maybe upsize or downsize. Now, I'm at an age group where there's a lot of people that are thinking about downsizing or becoming snowbirds. I play in a poker league every other Friday night. A couple of those guys I play with, they go to Florida in the wintertime, right? They just got to get out of the cold. As you are in the cold for a while, I guess it can wear on you. And, I kind of like that too, but I can't see myself doing it for 4 or 5 months out of the year. I just can't. I think Maine has too much to offer. So I know I'm kind of digressing, guys, but here we go. 2024 year in review. I'm going to pull up on your screen right now. First of all, I'm going to give you the whole state of Maine and what happened from 2024 to 2023 and give you a comparison. Now, first, I thought I'd throw a little something in there. If you're looking on your screen right now, you're going to see the map of Maine and you're going to see, a graph. It shows you from January of 2023 to December of 2024 and underneath Maine. So what I did on each county is I wanted to know how those counties were named or how the state was named, just in case you're curious. I knew about some of them, but I didn't know about all of them. So I did a bunch of research and I found out how these counties came to be their name. Now, Maine actually was named after, called the mainland. It was named by the French. It's believed. It's not. There's no clear facts of how the name Maine became the state, right? Maybe one of you guys can chime in and say, hey, I know how Maine became the name Maine when we succeeded from Massachusetts in 1820. That being said, the average home price in Maine in 2023 across the entire state, not average home price, I'm sorry, let me take that back. The average price of what a home sold for in Maine in 2023 was $453,560. I was surprised by that number. I didn't realize it was that high. I thought it was more in the $300,000 range. But, there's one thing, whether it's opinions or whatever, that, you can't debate, and that's math. I have all the numbers to back this up, guys. If anybody wants to see my raw data, I can send it to you. I have all the numbers for every county. But it's $453,560 in 2023, which shocked me because in 2024 is $496,520, which is an average increase of 42,966, which means houses sold for about across the state in general, 9.47% higher in 2024 than they did in 2023. And I was shocked at these numbers and how high they were, but then I started digging into some of the counties, and there are definitely some counties where the prices are pretty high, and they offset some of those counties where the houses are pretty low. So we're going to break down those counties right now, but Maine in general. The other thing I'm going to do a little different since 2025, I always come kind of the bottom up, right? I always start in York County and I go up. This time I'm going to do the entire state, but I'm going to go down. I'm going to start with the largest county in Maine, and actually the largest county east of the Mississippi, which is Aroostook. Aroostook County is way up there. You can see on your screen right now. I've highlighted that county red, and it shows you Aroostook County. And it was a Native American name. It was given, the name Aroostook County was given by Native Americans, and it means beautiful river. And the average home price, now this is what I was kind of thinking about Aroostook County, right? The average home price in Aroostook County in 2023 was $171,125. And in 2024 was $185,717, which means it increased. The average sale price increased by $14,592 or 8.53%. But to me, and I think these would be low across the state, but I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. That's Aroostook County. I've been to Aroostook County a bunch of times. I go fishing up there. Not a ton to do. You generally, if you live up there, you're in the potato industry, or you're in the logging industry, or you're in the forestry industry. I'm sure there's other things that people, guides or whatever, there's other things that people do up there, but that's the type of industry you're in. It's very sparsely populated there. It's a huge county. You got the Allagash up there. A lot of it is not populated, and you have some pockets. You have Presque Isle, Caribou, Holton, coming across the top, Madawaska, and Fort Kent. But other than that, there's not a lot in that county. It's a friggin' paradise, though, in terms of it's a playland. If you're a male, even if you're a female, I shouldn't genderify it. But if you love hunting, fishing, quietness, snowmobiling, just anything to do outdoors, and you can make a living up there. Maine up there is beautiful, and like they said, beautiful river. It's a beautiful, beautiful county. You got you got the flatness, and then you got the hills and the mountains. It's God's country. But anyways, Aroostook County, right? Average price increase of $14,592 in terms of what it sold for 8.53%. So that's Aroostook County, guys. Moving on. I kind of stayed across the top and I went to the left, and we're going to look at Somerset County. And again, I highlighted it in red. So I didn't know how Somerset was named, so I looked it up. Somerset County was named after the Somerset County in England. So what I found was a trend here. These counties were either named after the Native Americans who lived here, or they were named after English lords, or they were named because of either Britain or England. So Somerset County, actually there was a two name because of the people that lived in those counties, and we'll get to them. So Somerset County named for Somerset County, England. So if you're ever playing some mindful trivia game and somebody asks you, the question asks, Somerset County, Maine was named by, how'd the name Somerset County be? You'd be answering. You might look like a genius. My brother-in-law's like that. He knows more information about stuff that I would never think of. I think 3/4 of it's useless, but he's a pretty smart guy. Anyways, average home price in Somerset County in 2023. And again, I keep on saying average home price. The average price that a house sold for in 2023 was $236,643. And in 2024 was $254,609. Meaning the average sale price, there was an increase of $17,966, or about 7.59%. Now, guys, this isn't a slight against Somerset County. There's not much up there. There's not much at all. I mean, I haven't spent a ton of time in there. I've driven through there a little bit. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff up there that I'm not aware of, or there isn't much stuff up there. But that's a pretty big increase, 7.59%, or $17,966. Even the home price I thought was a little high. I thought it'd be more like Aroostook County, where it's kind of in the high 100s, low 200s. But hey, what do I know? Facts are facts, right? Can't argue with the math. Moving on, kind of going right across the top below Aroostook County, you got Piscataquis County. Now, this was an Indian name. I knew that right from the beginning, but I didn't know what it stood for. So Piscataquis County was a Native American derivative, and it meant the branch of a river. So, you have the Penobscot River and you have a couple other rivers, and they must branch off into Piscataquis County. But you got the Allagash that kind of dips in there and stuff as well. So maybe that's how they came out. I wasn't alive back then to ask the Indians how they named their counties or how they named their area, but that's what it means. Average home price in Piscataquis County, $231,855, the average price of a home that sold, I should say. I'm going to keep on having to correct myself. And in 2024, it's $256,070 for an increase of $24,070, about 10.44% increase over 2023. So if you were to buy a home in 2023, you would have paid about $231,855, $232. And in 2024, you would have paid about $256 on average. Some months were more, some months were high, but this is the average, not the median. This is actually the average, and you can see the chart. And you can actually see, if you kind of look at that chart deeply, if you're a little analytical like mine, you can see kind of how it planes out right around that price range of $256. All right, guys, moving forward, and we're coming across the state. Right now, we're into Penobscot County. And I usually do Penobscot County in my monthly update in terms of one of the counties I look at, because you got Bangor in Penobscot County. You got the University of Maine in Penobscot County. You got Brewer in Penobscot County. That's one of the bigger demographics in terms of where people live. And it's more in the really southern part of Penobscot County, but it's more it's one of the top 5 populous areas in Maine. And in Penobscot County, again, another Native American derivative, and it meant the place where the rocks widen or the rocky part of the river. And the average home price in 2023 was $260. The average price that a house sold for was $268,577, and in 2024 was $289,610. Again, if you bought a house in 2024, you paid about $21,034 more than if you would have bought that house in 2023. And that's a 7.83% increase. So guys, thinking about this, right? Forget about the prices of houses. Just look at the return, right? The return. If you bought a house, you would have made 7.83% if you would have tried to sell that house a year later, roughly, or would have made $21,034. Now you would have lost most of that return based upon, taxes and transfer tax, and if you had a realtor, you would have had to pay them. But in general, if you sit on it for a few years, and it compounds at that price, you're going to see what happens. Penobscot County, moving across the top. Then we come over and we're going to start swinging down out of those big 4 counties, and we're into Washington County. Washington County is the most east county in the country. It's the county that borders Canada. This is what we call down east Maine along the coast. And what you really had is you had the people from up in the county and above saying, hey, we're going down east, right? So they're coming down out of Aroostook County or Piscataquis or Somerset or Penobscot, and they're going east and they're going down. So that's kind of how you get down east. Well, Washington County was named after our first president, George Washington. And you can see the graph, and it looked like a yo-yo, up and down, 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 big spikes, low spikes, right? Washington County's like a unicorn. I don't know of much to do out there. It does border Canada, but you get along that coast and it's absolutely picturesque. It is beautiful. It is scenic. It is just if you think of Maine and you think about those rocky cliffs and the beach of Maine, that's what you're going to get in Washington County. And ironically, I thought these prices were a little higher than I thought they would be, right? In 2023, the average house sold for $269,685, where in 2024, it sold for $270,621. Only an increase of $936 and like a little over 1/3%. Now, I can tell you what drives some of that value, even though it's low, is there's some really beautiful vacation homes along the coast. But, you feather that out with all the other property that's in the state that's a lot less expensive. I've seen property up there for $25,000, $30,000, $50,000, $60,000. I've seen a lot of mobile homes up there. I've seen kind of the lower income class up there. And I'm not throwing any of those guys under the bus. I'm just saying it's the facts, right? You can't argue with the facts. But I think when you get down along that coastline, you get into Lubec and you get into some of these other coastline properties, the views are spectacular and they can't be duplicated anywhere in the world. So Washington County, I can see why, if you feather it all out, how those house prices came to be. All right, guys, moving on. We're moving down now. We're getting into Hancock County. Hancock County is where Mount Desert Island is. A lot of tourists there. Hancock County is a very expensive county. A lot of people love living in and around Mount Desert Island, in and around Bar Harbor. And you know, again, just like Washington County, yeah, kind of still down east, but you're not really, you're getting more to the mid-coast. So really from Hancock County down to about Cumberland, we call it the mid-coast, and from about Mount Desert Island or the Hancock County up, we call it down east. But Hancock County was named after one of the most founding fathers that we've ever known, John Hancock, right? The person who signed the Declaration of Independence, if I'm not mistaken. Average price for a home. Now, a lot of vacation homes up there again, right on the Rockway, right on the cliffs. Average home price, $544,204 in 2023. Went up to $577,897 in 2024. That's a 33,693 increase on the same house on average from 2023 to 2024, or a 6.919% increase from 2023 to 2024. Again, I'm working with a client right now. We're trying to get some land on Mount Desert Island. It's a slow go. It's a lot of things we're jumping through because you can't actually access the land without a road, and you got to deal with utility, and then only the back of the land is built. So we're getting through trying to work through some funding vehicles. It's frustrating. I get it. Some of these things don't happen overnight, especially if you're buying raw land in that area. But guys have done this a lot. And again, I wish I would have known now. I wish I would have known 10 years ago what I know now, and even 15 years ago. So if there's questions that you don't know about real estate, trust you me, I was there. I was there probably 15 years ago. When I started flipping properties, I was like, I didn't know what a purchase and sale agreement was. And I thought if I made a purchase and sale agreement onto a piece of property, I was bonded by it. I didn't know anything about contingencies. I didn't know anything about out clauses. I didn't know anything about funding or financing. But I taught myself and I learned, and you have to be bold and jump in. So I'm here as a resource, guys. If you're looking to buy or sell in Maine, same with selling, man. I've sold a bunch of houses, my own and other properties, right? And I flipped houses. So, you know, let's just have a conversation. As you can see, this isn't AI generated. This is real content. This is me being raw. You're going to see a lot of content that's going to come out as AI takes off. And then you're going to meet that person and you're going to be like, this is nothing like the person that I just met in person, right? His content or her content is so polished and so perfect. And it's just not going to be genuine. It's going to be hard for you to make a connection. So that's why I do these videos, guys, because I am who I am, right? And I'm not going to look any different when you see me. Yeah, so Hancock County, really, really beautiful area to live in. Again, you got Mount Desert Island, you got Bar Harbor, you got Cadillac Mountain, you got the cruise ships that come in. Bar Harbor is actually the start of I can't remember what it's called, but how the ships go up through the St. Lawrence and all that. One of my prior clients was the city manager for Saco, and he moved and became the city manager up in Bar Harbor. This is a few years ago. I don't even know if he's still up there or not, but and he was telling me the battles the locals were having because the cruise ship industry would come in and the town would just get crushed by all these tours. I mean, it was great for about a month and a half or 2 months, but it drove values so high that the locals were like, this isn't really who we are, right? So they were trying to stop the tours or the ships that go in there. And I don't know whatever came of it. I think this cruise ship's still going in there. It's a massive industry, but just giving you the good, the bad, and the ugly about kind of Bar Harbor and Hancock. Again, beautiful place to live. If I had to live in another county in Maine, there's two others I'd live in other than the one I live in right now, and Hancock County is one of them. It's just beautiful up there, and there's nothing like it. There just isn't. Again, moving down from Hancock, you got Waldo. Now we're kind of getting into the mid-coast. We're getting away from kind of Bar Harbor. We're getting down the coast a little bit. You know, we're going from east to west. Waldo County, named after Samuel Waldo, who was a prominent landowner in Maine in the 1700s, right? So he owned a bunch of land. I think he had some ties into Massachusetts, and you know, pretty good to have a whole county named after you. He must have owned a lot of land to have a whole county named after you. But again, you look at that big spike in, what's that, January of 2024, something sold, or a couple things that sold were pretty big, because that's an anomaly, right? But again, if you take the highs and lows and you average them all out for the entire year, you're going to see the average home price sold in Waldo County was $368,305 in 2023, and man, it increased to $487,329 in 2024. That is a $119,024 increase, or about 32.3% increase. So if you bought a house on average in 2023 and you sold that same house in 2024, you would have made about $119,000. Nah, guys, I get it. Not every house is alike. I'm just giving you averages. But as I said in my open monologue, Maine is not a secret anymore. It's not. And there's people that have money. And honestly, I don't know where all this money is coming from. I don't. But there's a lot, this seems like that divide between the very well-to-do and the poor is getting wider and wider. But there's a lot of people that got money, and there's a lot of people that are kind of living along the coast. And I get why some people are saying don't let any more of them in, because they're going to change the culture of Maine. But I think that's short-sighted. I think as the tide rides, all ships come in. But it's a pretty substantial change from 2023 to 2024 in Waldo County. It's not cheap to live in Waldo County, though. I've been up there. It's not cheap to live anywhere along the coast in Maine. When I say cheap, under $300,000 is what I consider cheap for a house, right? Okay, moving down the coast from Waldo, we're getting into Knox County, right? Knox County is getting down into the fingers of we call them Finger Islands or Finger Peninsulas down into Maine. Still rocky coast. Knox County was named after Henry Knox, a Revolutionary War general, right? So another famous person from Maine. Again, big money up there. $671,914 in 2023. 622. I'm sorry, those numbers got to be backwards. They are backwards. I'm sorry, I transposed them backwards. It was $622,740 in 2024. No, I'm going to have to come back to that one, guys, because both these numbers are incorrect, right? There's no way that it only grew by $4,826 or 78%. So I actually think it should be $621,914, not $671. It might be a typo there on my part. We're going to go with that, and I'll put a thing on the screen. I'm not going to redo this entire video over. I'm just going live with it. But I'm pretty sure it should be $621,914, but I'll put a correction on the screen when I post this video after I edit it, compared to $622,940. Maybe it's, I think $622,740 is the accurate number. 671 is not the accurate number. I think it was lower than that, but I'll post it and make it correct on the screen. But I know this is correct because I was transposing a lot of numbers and I double checked stuff. So average sale price only grew by $4,826, or about a little more than 2/3%. Again, guys, I'm going to check on that one. Knox County, apologize. I'm only human. This is an AI generated. I grabbed all these data and it took me about a week to put all this together regarding all my other responsibilities. So apologize. I will get that fixed and I'll put the remarks on the screen as I go, as I edit it here tomorrow. Today's Sunday, January, what's the day? The 5th. I was watching my Raiders and they're a horrible team. So I had to go do something else. So I was going to post this video tomorrow, record this video tomorrow morning, Monday morning, but I'm doing it tonight. It's about 7:54. I got to watch the Detroit-Minnesota game coming up. So I'm trying to buzz through these things. All right, Lincoln County. Lincoln County, again, coming down the coast out of Knox. Was named after Thomas Lincoln, who was a part of the original Plymouth Colony, Massachusetts settlement. I think that's where the first Thanksgiving was, if my history but mine reminds me. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Wasn't the first Thanksgiving in Plymouth? And wasn't that in Massachusetts? Tell me if I'm wrong, but he's came from the original Plymouth colony, which was one of the original settlers of the colonies back when we had 13 colonies from Britain after the actually before the Revolutionary War, right? And the average home price in 2023 is $554,712, and in 2024 is $585,625, gained $30,913, or 5.57%. Again, you're kind of in the Booth Bay region over there. It's beautiful. Again, I'm going to say this a lot because the coast is just, there's nothing like it. Those rocky coasts. If you're looking for flat, sandy beaches, you're not going to find it in kind of this part of Maine. but it's just breathtaking and stunning, the views, and the quality of life and the slower pace is just spectacular. All right, moving down to Sagadahoc County. This is where you got Bath and Brunswick. Now, Brunswick used to have one of the largest naval air stations in the country. It's all been it was shut off and been redeveloped into consuls and stuff. But the Indians named Sagadahoc County after the mouth of the big river. And it's interesting. They named everything after kind of rivers up here. The average home price in Sagadahoc County, Bath, Brunswick kind of tops and lives in that area. It was $461,506 in 2023 and $529,557 in 2024. An increase of about $68,051 or 14.75%. That's a pretty good return, right? So Maine, again, not a secret anymore. And Sagadahoc is the next county. It borders kind of next to Cumberland, which is Maine's most populous county in terms of people and most pricey county in terms of housing prices. But you got Bath, Brunswick. You're kind of coming out of Freeport, Yarmouth, and Cumberland, and you're getting into Sagadahoc County if you're heading up the coast. It's kind of the startup. It's kind of the startup Route 1 if you're going to drive up the coast. And it's, again, beautiful. Anything along the coast is beautiful, and I keep repeating myself. But, again, you had some pretty big swings throughout the year of 2023 and 2024. But if you really look at it from what the kind of apex at the top of it is, you can see that gradual climb as it was continuing to climb, even when interest rates were crazy high. So that's Sagadahoc County. And what I did from Sagadahoc, I went up to Kennebec County. Now, Kennebec County is one of those counties that I do profile every month. And Kennebec, an Indian name, Native Americans, it means long, quiet river. You get the Kennebec River that kind of just sits there. And it doesn't really move very fast. It's long and quiet, but it does flood sometimes. I can remember sometimes down on Augusta and down on Hollowell, down on Water Street, Main Street, that river rises from the snowpack and the ice, and it floods out a lot of places. But slow, long, quiet water was Kennebec. It was the name Kennebec County came from. A lot of people love Kennebec County. It's where Augusta is. It's Manchester. You get some great lakes, and when I say great lakes, you got Lake Piscataquis, which is one of my favorite lakes. And Piscataquis, I just discovered today, was named by an Indian, and it meant plenty of fish because the fishing there is crazy. Cabela's, or the owner of Cabela's, what's that company now called that bought Cabela's? They have their fishing tournaments there like every month. Because I used to have a place I used to know somebody. I had a place on Lake Piscataquis. They don't have that place anymore, so I don't go up there anymore. But or I don't really associate with that person anymore. Let's just put it that way. So I don't go up there anymore. I think they probably still have the place. But average home price $316,000, $791,000. I think I already said that. $335,000, $110,000. $18,319, increase 5.78%. And look at the start of January 2023, how it was way down there. And then it just made this fast, steady climb up to about where the market is. And then it kind of dips a little bit, drops down in the winter, right? It's kind of Maine, right? Things slow down after Christmas, January, February. They start picking up, but you get more excitement, right? People are more motivated, but you don't really start seeing the purchases happening until late February, March, and then April, May, June, July, August, September, October. They start really going up all the way through Thanksgiving, and they dip back down again. But Kennebec County, one of those desirable counties, and of the other counties that I would live in if it wasn't York, that would be the other one, because I love all the lakes up there. I love all the stuff you can do up there. Beautiful, beautiful area, and it's not really that kind of far out there. You do have Augusta, which is the state capital, so you have a lot of state employees that kind of make up Kennebec County. From an Augusta standpoint, you have some pretty good schools up there as well. And then if we just go over a little bit further west and drop a little bit, you got Androscoggin County. Again, Androscoggin County was named after a name in which that means fish of rock shelters. So what that tells me is you do have the Androscoggin River there. It's a pretty big river actually, but I never fished it. And it sounds like you had a lot of fish, but they hung out on the rocks, so they were probably harder to spear or whatever they did to catch them back in that day, right? But that's what it was named for. And actually, the Androscoggin County was named after the Androscoggin River, which means fish of rock shelters. This is where Lewiston, Auburn is. Mill towns, well, not so much Auburn, but Lewiston was a big mill town because of the river. Average price sold in 2023 is $328,319. Now, this is for single-family homes only, guys. I didn't do condos. I didn't do anything else. I should have started that beginning. And then in 2024, $347,662. You get some pretty good deals up there. And that's a $19,343 increase from 2023 to 2024, or about a 5.89% increase on the average price of a home sold from 2023 to 2024. All right. So I was coming across the state, east to west, and then you go up into Franklin County. I got to tell you, there's not a lot in Franklin County. I mean, you got some ski slopes and stuff like that, but it was named after Benjamin Franklin. We all know who Benjamin Franklin is, right? Because without Benjamin Franklin, there's a lot of stuff we wouldn't have. Namely what I'm kind of doing right now, because, needed a light. Average home price in Franklin County was $325,710. In 2023, 2024, $380,672, increase of $54,961, or about 16.8% is what a house sold for over what it did in 2023. And that's in Franklin County. And, Franklin County kind of borders Canada, and then it borders Oxford County, and then borders Somerset County. So, I'm not from Franklin County. If any of you that are my subscribers are from Franklin County, send me a chime, man. Tell me what you guys do up there. Tell me what it's like, right? I've been up and I've driven up there on the way to Quebec. I think is that where Jackman is, if I'm remembering correctly. It should be named, Franklin County should be the land of the moose, because other than Aroostook, I've seen a ton of moose in Jackman as I was driving up 201 into Quebec, lots of times. So, but I digress. Okay. And then moving across the state again, east to west to the next, before we get to the bottom two, you have Oxford County. Oxford County is kind of like, there's a lot of ski stuff, a lot of ski slopes in Oxford County. I'm pretty sure that's where Sunday River is. I know that's where Pleasant Mountain is. Some lakes, beautiful country, borders mostly New Hampshire. I think the top borders Canada. And it was named after Oxford, Massachusetts, when Oxford, Massachusetts was named after Oxford, England. So, you do have some, hence why they call it New England, not Old England, right? It was a New England, right? England, and then this area was settled, and they called it the New England. And the average home price in 2023 is $390,656. 2024 is $393,147. That's an increase of $2,491, or about, 0.2%, little less. Not a huge increase. At least you're not losing money. At least the houses aren't selling for less than probably what they did the year before. Again, there's, I don't know what people really do in Oxford County. You do have a small casino there, and you have slopes and you have outdoor stuff. But, I look at Oxford County kind of like Aroostook, right? It's kind of a lot of wilderness, a lot of woods. Probably could dig into it more, but it's a beautiful country. Been there a bunch of times. I mean, just as a tourist, even though I'm from Maine, just hanging out and doing outdoor things up there. But that's Oxford County, guys. The westernmost county, I shouldn't say that, it kind of ties with York, but it's the biggest county in Maine. That's the most west is what I'm trying to say. All right, guys. And then we drop down to the two most populous counties in the state. That's Cumberland. We're going to go Cumberland first. Cumberland is where you're going to find Portland. Now, Portland was rated a couple years ago as the 8th best big city to move to. I don't know what they define as big, because Portland has a population, without everything around it, Portland alone, I think, is like 74,000. But then you add everything around it, it's like 250,000, right? Between Westbrook, South Portland, Cape Elizabeth, Falmouth, right? Everything around, we call that the greater Portland area. You got a lot of people that live there, considering how populous or not populous Maine is, right? And Cumberland County was named after William Augustus, who was the Duke of Cumberland in Great Britain, and he was King Henry III's third son, or King Henry V's third son. You can look it up, guys, but I just know that Cumberland County was named after William Augustus, who was the Duke of Cumberland in Great Britain. And the average home price in 2023 in Cumberland County was $658,636, and the average sale price of a home in Cumberland County in 2024 is $719,979, an increase of $61,343, or about 10.74%. Now, there's a lot to do. There's a lot of jobs, a lot of technology, a lot of healthcare, a lot of places to eat. Cumberland County is just... it's crazy. I did a video why you want to visit Portland but not live there a few months back. I'm getting a little flack on it, but it's a great place to, if you want to stay for a week or you want a vacation, go to Portland, man, and hang out at one of the hotels right down on the waterfront and all the restaurants, and take a cruise on the Catskill Bay lines if you're coming in the summertime, which is I encourage you to do. But it's got a lot of arts, a lot of culture. It's very kind of much more diverse, even though Maine, 98% of the population, I think, is white still. But it's got a diverse population, and a lot of people love Cumberland County, even though the prices are extremely high. You have a lot of high-end professionals that live in Cumberland County, from doctors to attorneys to obviously folks in the technology arena. And you're actually having a lot of industry come into this area from the technology region, only because there's a lot of talent in Maine in terms of ingenuity, and there's a lot of, work. The people, I guess I'm bragging a little bit, but when I went, my buddy told me this, and I was only in the South for a short period of time after the military, but my buddy told me this. He goes, if you're from New England and you say you're from Maine and you're trying to get a job in Florida, they'll hire you in a heartbeat compared to most other states, because they just think if you're from Maine, you're a hard worker. And I kind of agree with him. You had to be a hard worker back in the day. You wouldn't survive. And now it's gotten a little easier, but it's passed down from generation to generation. Although I do think they don't make people the same way they used to. And people aren't working as hard as they could in the past, or don't, because I'm partly guilty of it, right? I got 5 kids, and, we want to make it easier for them than it was for us. But, sometimes it made it too easy, and that comes back to bite you. Anyways, Cumberland County, Maine's most populous county in terms of population, and the most expensive county to live in Maine if you're going to own a house. But the job market really does support it. And then you got York County. Again, this is the county I live in. I live in Biddeford, Maine, but York County is the first county when you come into the state from New Hampshire. It was named, as you could guess, after York, England. I don't think that's a big surprise. Average price of a home, $557,000, $558,000 in 2023, went up to $588,000, $748,000 in 2024. A price increase of $31,191, or 5.59%. Now, what's really cool about York County, other than its proximity to Portland and its proximity to Boston, its proximity to New Hampshire, is York County is pretty much the only county that has those really flat, sandy beaches. Coming down from Scarborough through Old Orchard Beach and Saco, and then coming around the bend, and then you got Biddeford, and then you got Kennebunk, you got Wells, you got Gunkwit, and then you get into some more rocky stuff in Kittery, but you have that stretch of, I don't know how far it is, maybe 60 miles, 70 miles, 60 miles of just flat, sandy beaches, and there's a lot of tourism that heads to Maine for those flat beaches, right? And the water's still kind of chilly, right? The average temperature of water in Maine, the ocean's probably 65 degrees. I don't think it gets above 70, but you have a lot of people like from Canada that come down through there. And then you have a lot of people that come up with their RVs and want to camp through there. I'm one of those, even though I live here. It's just, there's no other place you want to be in July and August for weather-wise, guys. It's almost beautiful, sunny every day in the high to mid-80s. Not really humid. It can get hot, not many bugs, and the scenery is just beautiful. It's just stunning. And then finally, guys, the last slide I'm going to leave you with is I kind of did a recap, and I picked out, the highest and lowest, and I printed this in black and white, and I should have printed it in color, but I remember what I did. So if you look at the highest price for a house in 2023 in terms of what it sold for, it was obviously Cumberland County at $658,636. And again, 2024 kind of still holds true, $719,979. But if you look at the biggest spread from 2023 to 2024, it was Waldo County. You have $119,024, or 32.3%. And then just for shits and giggles, if you will, if you ever heard that as a kid, shits and giggles, I never knew what that meant, but it just stuck with me. So maybe you've heard that before if you're my age. But lowest price of a house in 2023 is in Aroostook, $171,125. 2024 is $185,717. But the lowest spread between 2023 and 2024 was Washington County of $936, and that only grew by a little over 1/3%. You know, what was the county that I was, it still says 622 to 671. So again, Knox County. I'm going to get back to you guys on Knox County. Guys, I hope this information was helpful. Again, what I figured out 15 years ago, maybe a little bit longer now, is before you're going to buy or sell or invest or do anything in the real estate market, you're going to want the data. You're going to want some facts. You're going to want to be educated about the market, right? There are people that just go in there on a whim, but, you know, and they can be successful. I've seen a lot of people that didn't. They bought a house wrong. You know, if they're a flipper and they flipped it up and didn't make as much money selling it, or they bought a house and tried to rent it and didn't realize the rents weren't as good as they were. Or maybe they were better, but there's issues with the house. I don't know. I'm just saying, where I was 15 years ago, in just the education that I've taught myself and learned through experience and just time, trial, and tribulations, is you really got to understand the market. And math doesn't lie. And once you kind of get a good understanding of the market, I mean, what's the saying? If you don't know at least 40% of what you're trying to do, you shouldn't be doing it until you know at least 40%. And if you know more than 70% of what you're trying to do, like especially if you're trying to make investments or you're trying to make a move, then you're procrastinating, right? And you're paralysis of analysis. So you got to be somewhere between that 40 and that 70%, right? If you're in that sweet spot, for me, because I'm analytical and I'm more conservative by nature, I'm more of that kind of 50 to 60%. I want to hedge my bets, especially when we're talking about money and investments in real estate. But you got to know that. So where do you get that information from? You got to do your own research, partner with people like myself. And there's others in this state that really kind of understand the state and know what's going on. I'm not an expert. I don't know everything, but I can tell you this, guys. If I don't have the answer, I know how to find it, or I know where to find it, or I know how to go after it, right? Because I'll just keep asking and asking and asking until I find the right answer or find the right person. So that's what I do, man. I just believe that it's like anything. I am not going to replace my daughter's transmission watching a YouTube channel. Not that I'm going to replace her transmission anyways. I've never done it, right? So some easy menial task, sure. But like my daughter needs a new transmission. Am I going to replace it? No. She's going to have to go to get somebody, pay to have somebody do it, right? So information is power and it's knowledge. It's not any good if you don't practice or use that. But in general, I think math doesn't lie and you got to know some of the data and some of the statistics. Guys, if this information was helpful, if there's other videos on this channel that was helpful, just do me a favor, man. Subscribe. Tap that bell to be notified. It just keeps me going, keeps me saying, hey, there are people that are watching this content. There are people that like this. There are people that want to know more about Maine. Not only that, you know, I'm no big shot. When I first started making videos, I sucked. I was like, this is embarrassing. I had to be a perfectionist. And I was like, I just got to stop all that and just be who I am, because that's who I am when I meet you, right? So I keep on looking at my board because it's down the fly. I have a running total of how many people. I got 19 people right now that I'm working with from this channel that are trying to move to Maine, that are in some process, some cycle of, they're just exploring right now. There's a couple up here right now from Virginia that came up on New Year's Day and they're driving around, and we had a Zoom call last Monday. Was it Monday? And maybe it was last Monday. And maybe it was I think it was last Thursday, because they came up on New Year's Day. And they're just driving around. So I had a Zoom call with them and, you know, kind of say, well, this is where I'd go day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. And they really like this one area. And they just told me today that there's another area that they really like. And they're not looking to buy a house today, but just giving a feel for what it's going to be like when they're done. They're in the military, or he's in the military, when he's done in the military. And then, as I told you, another guy that's in San Diego wants to move to Maine, wants to get close to Canada, wants to be done with it all. And we're trying to buy him land in Mount Desert Island. I got a couple from Florida that met me through Zillow and been looking at different properties, and their daughter just moved to Cape Elizabeth, which is a couple towns up from me. And they want to be closer to their children and maybe their grandchildren. So they're moving from Florida, which is totally gone crazy, down in Naples, and they're looking for places in Maine. And I've helped them look at a couple places, just I drive-bys and doing videos, and we're going to have coffee because they're coming up, and I'm going to have coffee on Friday. I got a couple from Northern Alabama who saw my video and just said, I got to talk to him. I can relate to him. He's a veteran. I'm a veteran. He's in IT. I was in IT a long time ago. They're in Northern Alabama, never lived in Maine. They're in the process of putting the house on the market. It is on the market. They're in the process of trying to get it sold to move up here, and we're starting to explore some of their opportunities. So I only tell you that, guys, is because this is what I do. I don't just work with buyers. This YouTube channel is mostly for buyers. It attracts mostly buyers. But I work with a lot of sellers, guys, and I think the only way to be good at what you do is understanding both sides of the equation. So when I'm a buyer and I'm representing a buyer's rep, I'm a buyer rep and I'm representing you, I know if I was selling that property, what I would want to hear and what I'd want to see, because I sell property. And I know when I get an offer, I know what my seller, or what I would like to see as I present it to how I'm going to consult my seller. So when you have that, both sides of the equation, I don't think being just one is the only way to go. That's all I'm going to say. Guys, I hope this information was helpful. You guys have a safe and happy 2025, and we'll talk to you later. Scott Thibeau over and out. Bye-bye.